Hey everybody, this is Carl back again for another X-Men movie spoiler review. Last week I covered the movie Logan. Today I am covering Deadpool! Yeah! Uh, yeah, Deadpool 2 movie. I did cover Deadpool 1, that was a couple of years ago, so you can always find that on my channel. But I decided to make sure I save Deadpool 2 when I cover other X-Men stuff. I'm finally doing all that. I'm nearly done with all the X-Men movies. After that, I'm just got First Class, Days of Future Past, Apocalypse, and Dark Phoenix to get through. Not really gonna care for, I don't even care for New Moons. Not even gonna waste my time with that one. Sorry. If you go on my Patreon and make a request, then that's when I'll strongly consider doing it. In case you even care about New Mutants yourself. But I got one more TV show to get through with Marvel Anime X-Men. So we're really at the end with all the X-Men content. So I have like a plethora at this point. Some stuff you probably didn't know even existed, because I didn't think we'll have, because the way people hate on Cyclops the way they do, you wouldn't think you'll get like a decent like solo Cyclops story, but there is one. I actually really dig it. But anyway, Deadpool 2. Just like with Deadpool 1, when it's actually kind of like a good raunchy love story, this was technically a family picture. And of course, we got Ryan Reynolds reprising his roles as Deadpool, Josh Brolin as Cable, I think perfect casting. Marina Bachman playing Vanessa again. Julian Dennison playing Russell, aka Fire Fist. Zazie Beetz as Domino. TJ Miller as Weasel. Brianna Hildebrand as Negasonic Teenage Warhead. Long ass fucking name. Jack Casey as Black Tom Cassidy. Leslie Uggams as Blind Owl. Corinne Sani as Depender. And Stefan Kapicic as Colossus. And we got a nice little supporting role for Yukio, who in this film is played by Shioli Kasuna, an Australian Japanese actress, where Ryla Fushiyama played her in the movie The Wolverine. In this movie, she is in an openly lesbian relationship with Negasonic Teenage Warhead. And this movie actually is the first, not even sure if it's like the first superhero movie in general or just a Marvel movie. uh Yeah, it's in a Marvel film, not in a superhero film in general. I just want to make sure I got that right. Which I also want to point out how much praise this movie has gotten, and I also give those same praises where they don't make a big fuss about, you know, having like a openly gay couple front and center in a film, because more often than not, it feels very pat on the back. You see this a lot. I always use this as an example because they did too often the CW shows, more often than not the superhero related ones, where it's like this, you know, it just feels very pat on the back or marking off a checkbox instead of just, you know, yeah, you know, like you know, a character can just walk in and say like, "Hey, I'm gay, I'm here, let's move on," okay? There's not a big deal about it. It's just like, yeah, they're people, okay? You know, it's like it's kind of like I pointed out one of the questions on my Hot Ones challenge video that I did, where, you know, one of my favorite couples in all of, like, you know, television or movies is in Brooklyn Nine-Nine, Captain Raymond Holt and Kevin Costner. These two have a great relationship, and it's just like all, you know, relationships are normal, but it's just like they're not like all like making a huge deal about it. It's just there. They're just a regular couple, you know, just, you know, doing their normal stuff. They're, you know, having like, you know, their, you know, drives to the country. They know each other. They have fights, and it's no song and dance number, whatever, you know. And that's what I like about, you know, I love about this. It's like, yeah, she has a girlfriend. So what? Let's just, you know, move on. And they're cute together. But, you know, it is kind of like a drastic personality change, all things considered, how Yukio was in the Wolverine, where she seems more stoic and kind of serious, while in Deadpool 2 she seems a little bit more bubbly in a way, and it seems very drastic. That's the only thing I kind of point out. It's like, wow, that is kind of like a drastic tonal change for this character, where they could have just made this character completely different altogether, in my opinion. You know, and just make it, because they don't even have the same powers. Yukio in Deadpool 2 seems to have some kind of electricity powers in a way, and she charges up objects to make them like you know, run a current. And that's how it looks. I'm not sure exactly how it is, but because in the Wolverine, she just predicts people's deaths. Yeah, I'm not even sure. Yeah, because yeah, it's definitely the same powers. They're not specified here. But anyway, a year or so after the events, oh, and this movie is directed by, you know, obviously, you know, David Leitch, written by, of course, Ryan Reynolds and other writers, so it's like Paul Wernick and Rhett Reese. But Ryan Reynolds has his fingers all over this place, honestly. So Deadpool at this point, you know, back with you know, having like a nice stable life with his longtime girlfriend Vanessa, doing assassin gigs, and it's a perfect, you know, hilarious sequence, you know, where he just traveling the world, you know, taking out bad guys for money. And then this is a running joke with Bill Pender, where he's like, you know, inspired by Deadpool and wants to do what he does, and Deadpool is not even entertaining that, because obviously it's too dangerous for him. So he comes on, and then these two, or at least, you know, she's ready to start like having like a family with him, and Deadpool, you know, taking like a moment where he realizes like he had like a scummy father, and he worried about how he would do as a parent. And kudos to Vanessa, where she's like trying to reassure him, like, you know, you you know, you are going to be an amazing father because you're an amazing person. And then, and some people had like kind of like a problem with this. Of course, you know, not a long lasting one, because the movie was conscientious enough to kind of quickly solve that by the end. But it also feels like they kind of undermine the crux of the story, but we'll get to it. But one of the bad guys that Deadpool was dealing with tracked him down, burst in, tried to shoot Deadpool. Deadpool tries to stop the guy, but a gun went off and it hit Vanessa, killing her. And Deadpool, in a like very dramatic scene where he chases the guy down, instead of just outright just killing him, he just grabs a hold of him and kind of like in a loving embrace, steps in the middle of the street, and it allows a car to hit them both. Of course, it kills the guy, but Deadpool quickly revives. So now he just, you know, desperately wants to off himself any which way he can, but he can't because of his powers. And I want to take the moment to address the elephant in the room, where they just did this with Kamala Khan in the comics recently. And the last time this kind of thing happened, where the term fridging comes from, was with Kyle Rayner Green Lantern story, one of his adventures, where he had this girlfriend, a bad guy checks down who he was and find about his girlfriend, mutilated her, and stuffed her body in a refrigerator, prompting Kyle to find her and motivated to stop the bad guy. Hence the term fridging. And of course, people were rightly upset because you killed off a female supporting character, or normally a girlfriend of the main character, in order to service his motivation for the rest of the story, which is kind of effed up, where it feels lazy and kind of a crap way to do things. I don't want to use the M word because I think it's thrown around way too often, but you know the M word I'm talking about, dealing with, like, you know, hating on women. But it's, you know, that wasn't kosher at all. It wasn't cool. And so ever since then, comics and movies and TV shows in general have a long stint of not repeating that mistake. And not even just for women, just love interests in general, not just to serve a purpose or to motivate the main character for whatever story you're trying to tell. And for the longest time, we've been good at not repeating that mistake. Unless it's maybe, I guess, unless it was, like, you know, written up in a proper way where it makes sense, or at least not where it's blatantly like, oh, because he's doing this because somebody did this. So of course, there's always been like action movies back in the day where they had this kind of thing where, like, you killed my wife, you know, now I'm gonna burn your entire operation to the ground, and in comes Chuck Norris with, you know, machine guns that, you know, like never ends, with bullets and taking out all these bad guys, things blowing up, and Wilhelm scream here and explosions there. But then the whole Miss Marvel thing kind of did that to Spider-Man with Miss Marvel. Of course, they or at least a couple of weeks later, resurrected her, and the whole thing is stupid in my opinion. But Vanessa, they essentially did that to her, and I'm not sure they were like more conscientious of how. I think along the way they probably was a lot more conscientious of what they did, but they, you know, quickly saw their mistake. This is why, like, you know, some people in the writers' room have really no excuse, because you probably have a team of people in the writers' room, and at one point, probably somebody raise a hand like, does this consider like fridging? Maybe we should like do something about it. And like, oh yeah, you're right. It does seem kind of effed up. So we'll take the time now before we put the project or start filming in general, and write in a way where we can fix all that, which they did. It kind of undermines the crux of the story, but I think it kind of like, you can let that go more so than you would if they never tried to fix it in the first place. So yeah, you should never fridge a character at all, man or woman, because it's not right. It is, it's lazy. That's even the word you can use. I'm glad they kind of point that out in writers' rooms everywhere. Once they get the writers, paid well, and so the strike can end and they can get back to those writers' rooms, they can be more conscientious of, hey, let's not do this because that will seem kind of like effed up, or like that will seem kind of racist or whatever. Anyway, Colossus eventually shows up, put Deadpool back together after he tried to blow himself up inside his apartment, because it's after like he had like a talk with Blind Al, and that's called back from the first movie where you make a joke about like, underneath the floorboards is like, a bag of cocaine and a cure for blindness, and he sees open up the floorboards, just sneaking in while Blind Al can't see nothing. He's very quiet, and you see him open the floorboards underneath the carpet, not carpet but rug, and you see like he gets like a pack of cocaine, there's like a gun and some cash, and then there's like a thing that says like cure for blindness, and he just like spooks the hell out of her, like why you, like he says something like, sweet Jesus. It's like, it was very funny, man. Oh god, because he's such a freaking troll. No matter what he's going through, he's always got to troll somebody. He just cannot help himself, which I freaking respect. But I love Blind Al's little retort to him, where he's just feeling sorry for himself, and she was like, I can't hear you, Wade. I can't hear you. It's like, can you speak up, Wade? I can't hear you with that pity dick in your mouth. This is the way, like, the snappy writing is very good, man. Essentially, Blind Al's giving him advice, which he completely misinterprets altogether. But he's trying to tell him, like, Vanessa will want you to move on, and trying to find like some goodness in your life. But then he just proceeds to try to like off himself, so that's the only way he feels like he can get back with Vanessa. Colossus puts them back together. He brings them to the X Mansion, and like one of the most best cameos ever seen in film, where Deadpool and Colossus arguing because like Colossus feels like you need a family, like you can't be alone, and I'm your friend. I want to be there for you. And Deadpool making some wisecracks of like, why is it like there's only you and Negasonic here? It's like, where is everybody? He's ranting, and then right beside him there's like an open room where you see all the the first class Days of Future Past X-Men young kids in the next room, like Nicholas Hoult Beast and James McAvoy Professor X, Evan Peters Quicksilver, they're all in the next room, and they just close the door. It doesn't even want to interact with him. I was like, it's like, oh my god, that is perfect. And you can tell what decade it is because Quicksilver's wearing like a Nirvana shirt, so it's kind of like, of course that couldn't just mean anything, but it's just like the way that most of them are styled up, it's like clearly this is the 90s. And given how Colossus look, yeah, this is kind of like the 90s. And honestly, I just want to point out how, I'm pretty sure I mentioned this in my Deadpool first movie review, where it's like this is the most like kudos to Ryan Reynolds. It's like he probably grew up with the same stuff we did. It's like this is comic accurate X-Men. I think, like, you know, the only other closest one I gotta say is Days of Future Past, being like these two are probably the most accurate. Oh, and maybe like Logan. And it's probably like, you know, the most accurate representation of the X-Men in live action that we've seen. At least not until the MCU starts folding them in properly and not doing no Ralph Boner crap. Oh my god. And then of course, don't get me started on Deadpool 3 with like the Wolverine costume with the yellow blue thing. Oh my god. I was like, you know exactly what we want. And so Deadpool, you know, decides like, okay, I'll hang out with the X-Men for a while. He's literally putting on Cerebro and stuff, and just completely dicking around. Speaking of, he jerks off in Mind My Friends. This is Deadpool we're talking about, but he you know, relieves himself in the lotion bottle that Colossus uses. But it's like, and here's another thing. Well, A, like, how you put on lotion when you're just all metal skin at this point? And B, we never see Colossus in his normal form. And it's like, sure, it's big CGI thing or whatever like that. But when he reverts back, he should be reverting to his normal human like look. And when he's like powering up, he goes back to the big CGI thing. And of course, I know it's part like a budget reason, obviously. But this movie made some serious bank, but they know how to budget correctly. So if they want to cut corners on anything, it's just not have him revert to human state. But it would be good to see like a human-looking Colossus at least once, and then have him mellow up when it's time to get going. So he's, you know, Deadpool's like a mutant trainee, and one moment when he dies, when he's trying to kill himself, he sees Vanessa in the afterlife, and she tells him, like, you gotta find a family and things like that. It's like, you know, oh no, she says like your heart's not in the right place, and of course it's very vague. I heard other people mention this could have been great for Lady Death because he had like a thing for her too, but I think it's kind of serviceable just be Vanessa. I think you probably adding, if you put in Lady Death and the whole thing with that, you probably putting too much in once. It's great to like kind of like simplify it, but that would have been cool to see, like, you know, Deadpool, you know, just cheating on Vanessa with Lady Death. But anyway, we'll have Lady Death kind of look like what she did in the Deadpool game, which is kind of like a Day of the Dead kind of aesthetic, which I think that's like the most beautiful way of depicting death. But anyway, so the X-Men get a call about a rampaging mutant in front of this corporation called the Essex. What is it called? You know, the XX building. Yeah, Essex Corporation. Clearly, you know, funded by Nathaniel Essex, aka Mr. Sinister, but is actually a mutant re-education center. Clearly, like, they're abusing, you know, young mutants. They go there, find Russell freaking out, and Russell always, you know, you hear him mention, you know, partly through like the second act, how like he always see himself as like a hero, but like, because, you know, discrimination in the industry, you know, like how many overweight superheroes do you see? uh but it's like it's a another con I want to point out, and this is less so of a nitpick than the others were, but it's like you see a clearly recognized superhero team, the X-Men, at least a couple of them, and it's like, hey, these people have been abusing me, can you help me? And and it's like you have all these reporters and everything like that, cameras rolling, it's your time to shine, Russell, and you don't say nothing, and you just rampaging. What else they think? Of course, I get it, he's a stupid kid, but I don't know. If I see Spider-Man or Superman come by and I'm wigging out in public with my powers, I'm gonna say something to them because I am fully confident they will listen to me. And they would step in and do something about it because all eyes are on me now. And I think that's kind of like a waste. But Deadpool manages to safely knock out Russell because he doesn't want to break the X-Men rule about like no killing. Kind of wish you go over more of the X-Men house rules too, because it's like the other thing is like, makes you label everything. And it's like, yeah, there's too many people in the house, and like you treat it like a big dorm room, and it's like, God, that sucks. I want my own stuff, and I don't have to worry about. And the place get blown up, I don't know how many times, and it's like I'd be too freaked out on keeping stuff here. I got like, my Xbox Series S and 1 and PS4 and 5 and all of my personal effects, all these things I have, my computer set and everything like that. It's like I need to find like a separate place to keep all my important stuff, and just keep like stuff that if I need to go on a run or something like that, at least less important stuff that I won't care as much if it get blown up or whatever at the X Mansion. I have like a completely separate stuff at a different place of residence altogether, because I cannot because that would be too much anxiety for me. I like my stuff, and it's like given mutant persecution, I doubt they'll give you the insurance, and it's like, oh my God, it's too much of a pain in the butt. I cannot. And we dealing with other mutants, and there's gonna be a rare occasion when one of them freaks out and cause like some kind of damage, or electrical interference, or you don't get any more, or even like it covers this in like X-Men Evolution in one episode with Kitty Pryde mentioning how like she doesn't get any privacy in this house, and it's like, yeah, you don't get privacy. Oh my God, that'd be like, oh my God, that'd be a pain. At least on the Krakoa Island, you have like a certain section that's all to yourself. It's a very massive place, like a huge continent, or almost like a huge continent. It's an island, but it can darn near be like nearly a continent, just like a few more land masses. Where you can just have like a private area to yourself. But as soon as Deadpool realizes, oh, Russell's been abused, and realizing like, look, here's another thing. It's like, okay, he tells Colossus, but the fact that he just quickly just takes a gun and shoots one of the orderlies in the head, causing like Colossus to choke him out, and Deadpool getting arrested and sent to this ice box, where Russell says he would rather go than deal with what's going on in this like rehabilitation place. And it's like, it's, a misstep slightly on Colossus, where he didn't at least hear out Deadpool, and okay, sure, like you feel like Deadpool should just be arrested, but follow up on this building, because Deadpool won't just do things. I mean, he does do things just like it's seemingly out of freaking random nowhere. But at the very least, this place is called a mutant rehabilitation center. At the very least, you should do kind of follow up, check, run some kind of hacking into the system, seeing what they're all about or something. Sound like a spy, something. You don't have mutants with intangibility power. Well, yeah, Kitty Pryde, but some invisibility powers, or get like a psychic nearby or something or other, just to see like what's going on in there. Because I find it very weird that you don't. So anyway, they go to this prison where they keep a bunch of mutants there, who's like pretty much like evil mutants. And of course, Russell feel like, oh, we can stick together. And Deadpool, because they're wearing inhibitor collars, nullifying their powers, Deadpool's cancer is like, starting to creep back up again. And he just he can finally, die in peace. But you hear like Russell talking like, I got a pen we can use as a shank. I hit it up my prison wallet. Prison wallet? It's like you watch too much of The Wire, kid, and it's like he mentions like we find the biggest guy in here and we take him down and no one wants to mess with us. And of course, Deadpool hints at the big foreshadowing of clearly there's the Juggernaut here, of the most comic accurate Juggernaut. Well, there's only 2 live action Juggernauts, Vin Jones in X3 and this movie. And this movie is the more, well, I say accurate, but the only thing is it's not a crimson color. His helmet, and well, of course he's wearing like a prison jumpsuit, but his helmet is like not is metal, but it's not crimson color. But all the while this is going on, we are introduced with Cable, a very Terminator-like situation where he's traveling back in time, and he finds out I love his stuff by himself seems very Terminator, like the first Terminator movie. He's got that one small apartment when that Mary cleans himself up in. Cable almost mirroring that same kind of stuff. And he goes to the icebox, just wreaks all havoc very nonchalantly because he's a soldier and he's in the future and he's like done so much, and it's like all this seems like it's like a Navy SEAL of today traveling back to like the height of Egyptian empire and he just clean house by himself. It's very nonchalantly because these guys are pose zero, I don't want to say zero, but like less than optimal threat to his person. And him being a mutant on top of that, even though they don't really address his psychic powers, but he's still a pretty dope character. Realizing that this guy is after Russell and the inhibitor collar is like broken off, his powers is returning, and he's fighting Cable. A nice little like retort and like making a joke about dubstep. It's like like dubstep's for pussies. I was like, God, this dude's so grizzled and cool. And all the jokes, superhero jokes, calling Domino Black Widow. Oh, and then we'll get to that. But then call like, oh, he's so dark. Are you sure you're not from the DC universe? Man, the trailer to this movie, I still stuck in my head. It was so funny, man. And of course, making a Thanos reference, because how could you not? But when they first meet Black Tom Cassie, who from my recent Deadpool comic review, him and Juggernaut usually are a power team, and they usually go up against like the X-Men or Deadpool. And you know, Black Tom Cassidy, and I kind of hope there was like more to it with him, because the first time we actually see Black Tom Cassidy in live action, we don't get to see him use his powers at all or team up with the Juggernaut at all, which I personally feel like it was a kind of a waste. If you're familiar with the Juggernaut, you know from time to time he's teamed up with Black Tom Cassidy and considers Black Tom one of his like only dearest friends for a long set of time. But as soon as he introduces himself to Wade and Russell, it's like I'm Black Tom Cassidy, White Wade Wilson. And then oh my god, and then like of course Cable accidentally shoots him at one point. It happens later on in the film. I was like, you shot Black Tom, you racist. Oh my god, it's just so funny. Oh my god, that was probably one of my favorite jokes. But it's the leaning in because of his name, Black Tom. Oh my god, this is so good. That was really, really funny. But after Deadpool and Cable tussle and one of Cable's grenades goes off and blasts him out of the building, Russell then makes friends with the Juggernaut and playing like a prison break because they moving most of the prisoners out. It's kind of coincidental that Russell is moved right along with the Juggernaut and Black Tom and a few others. But Deadpool, after seeing another vision of Vanessa saying like you gotta save this kid, he decides to put it together his own team, X-Force, because you know since the X-Men, you know, he feels like they lack in, you know, because like they're high moral ground about no killing, like sometimes scumbags need killing, and he forms a team that has no qualms about doing it. And you got like Shatterstar, which you get a fun little Shatterstar live action. I don't know much about Shatterstar other than he is on Mogul World from time to time, and his powers that he just now says better than you at stuff. Then you got like Terry Crews's character, Bedlam, who can interfere with electrical, causes electrical interference even in your brain, almost like EMP kind of stuff. You got Peter, just this average dude that Deadpool just hires and pisses off Bill Pender. You got Vanisher, this guy who can be invisible, but he doesn't say nothing, and you just think he's in the room. You got Zeitgeist, played by one of the Scar Guards actors, the one who's like Pennywise and was the main villain in the last John Wick movie. And he has acidic spit. Then we got Domino, who is just lucky, and Deadpool doesn't believe luck powers is very cinematic or useful, whatever. Of course, it was very useful when she managed to be the only one besides Deadpool to not die in their little parachute jump to intercept the convoy carrying Russell to stop Cable from taking out the kid. And it's like the way the trailer set up the X-Force, it's kind of like, wow, that is like, they really subverted expectations, because they really set these guys up like they're really gonna do stuff. They even add in certain clips, like they got like moments in the film where they actually take on folks, but they all died stupidly because of the dangerous winds. And of course, it's mentioned at least 3 times earlier before the scene. One where Cable kidnaps Weasel in order to get him to spill the beans on where Deadpool might be going to try to find Russell. And he mentioned about like, be careful, there's like there's high winds out there. The pilot of the helicopter mentioned about high winds, strong winds coming, and there's another time, but I can't remember. And of course, true to form, the high winds causes shadows start to fly into the news helicopter blades. Bedlam smashes right into a bus, and people are trying to resuscitate him. Vanisher, who turns out to be Brad Pitt, falls into some power electrical lines, and it was like a fun. Still remember in the theater, everybody in the crowd was like completely shocked, like, "Whoa, was that Brad Pitt?" And that was completely random, and very rare you get surprised like that in movies. It's been a couple of times. Can't remember off the top of my head. I know there's been, like I mentioned before, about a couple of times where I'm like in Black Panther 2, it was a complete surprise to see Killmonger show up in Shuri's vision. Did not see that one coming. That was another time that I was like legit surprised in a film. And then, like, Zeitgeist falls into a wood chipper, and Peter tried to rescue him, and then he spits up his acid spit and then kills Peter. And Deadpool's just like, oh my god, I think I'm going to hurl. Everything's like going so wrong for him. And of course, Domino makes it very safely. And there's a nice little cinematic scene where she just like, in one shot, seemed like just manages to get over all these accidents just to make it inside the lead convoy. Even though it seems like, okay, there's a lot of people might be injured or dead while you're luckily getting through all this. But Cable managed to catch up to the vehicle. Devil and Domino tried to stop Cable. Black Tom Cassidy gets killed accidentally, and then of course, nice little callback to X-Men Origins Wolverine, where Devil does the spinning blades to deflect all these bullets, but he's not that fast, and some realistically would get through and hit him. Of course, he can heal, but it's just like, yeah, realistically, he'll still get hit. He's not faster than bullets. At least not that fast than bullets. And of course, because Domino's luck plays powers, the convoy crashes. Juggernaut and Russell manage to escape, and Juggernaut tears Deadpool in half and walks up with Russell, who thinks like, well, you don't want to consider me as a friend, you didn't care about me, so I found the biggest guy and we're gonna tear stuff up. And there's funny moments with Russell, I gotta say, where he just flips off Deadpool and does this little mime move and just follows the Juggernaut. He made this. I'm glad, you hear, because it's voiced by Ryan Reynolds. You get to hear the Juggernaut speak from time to time. And Russell asks about the helmet. He mentions about his brother Charles, which kudos to reminding people that Charles and the Juggernaut are stepbrothers. And in the past, Juggernaut, not currently in the comics right now, but not too long ago, honestly, it wasn't that long ago, where the Juggernaut, for a long period of time, hated Charles Xavier because he was jealous, because his father married Charles's mother, they doted on him. He felt left out. Of course, in the 90s X-Men show, I'm not sure how real it is in the comics, but the Juggernaut's dad didn't really love Charles or his mom, but they had money and trying to, like, you know, get that from them. But Juggernaut made a comment like, you know, well, Charles did this to me or something like that, and it's like, well, he's in a wheelchair now, so even Steven. So Deadpool back in Blind Al's place, trying to regrow his lower half, even though you could just put his lower half together with his top half and have the cells heal itself. Don't know why they didn't just do that, because it happens before. But you wouldn't get the funny scene with Deadpool with his baby legs, and he does the basic instinct thing, and it's like, oh my god, it's like I still to this day I cannot look at it directly. Jesus God, like why? And it was like, why do you feel it's necessary to cross your legs? And then, you know, everybody walks in making, you know, jokes, and it's like, you know, you Weasel something like, you know, you just Donald ducking it. And then, like, you know, Cable walks in and he's like, Jesus Christ. I was like, because he just such like a straight-laced dude, and it's like he's walking into this, like he's in his own little movie, and he's walking into this madness. It's like, Jesus Christ. It's like, because Deadpool and Cable more often than not team up in comics, and they have this crazy like 48 hours, you know, buddy cop thing going on. It's so freaking funny. Oh my god. And they decided to because the Juggernaut is now with Russell, and you set him loose, we got to work together in order to stop him. But Deadpool made like a deal with him, like, hey, give me some time, because in the future Russell grows up to be a complete psychopath and murders a lot of people, including Cable's wife and daughter. That's why he's traveled back in time to stop him before that happens. And he only got 2 charges, so he couldn't go further back because he needs that extra charge to get back to his present. Sorry. So this was the only time he can actually do this. So he promises Deadpool, you got 30 seconds to try to change Russell's life around. So Russell and Juggernaut go back to the rehabilitation center to try to get his first kill against the headmaster who was doing all the torturing. And of course, Deadpool stops at the X-Master trying to convince Colossus to help. Well, of course, Colossus at first ain't trying to listen, given the fact that Deadpool broke, you know, the very first rule he told him not to break. And he points out to Colossus that, we don't have that kind of luxury of preserving life just whenever. Like, sometimes doing the right thing can be messy, and there's some people out in the world that are just too vile and too despicable just to just leave alive, kind of situation. It's just like, it's ironic that Deadpool has to point out the realism of just life. There are just a sliver of people out in the world that are just that vile, kind of like Hitler. He is just that vile of a person where, like, he does not deserve to live the rest of his life at all. So of course, him and Negasonic, Teenage Warhead, and Yukio show up later to help out, but they go to the corporation, and they're teaming up to fight the Juggernaut, but it's way too strong for even all three of them. But Colossus shows up, and of course you get this awesome CGI fight. And it's like an awesome display. Like, cause Colossus, strong as he is, he's really like can't. He can probably last longer than most other people with a straight up fight against the Juggernaut. I think, you know, because Hulk, Ben Grimm, and Colossus have the, you know, strength needed to really like hang with the Juggernaut outside of somebody like Gladiator from the Shi'ar, or somebody who has like near God strength. Uh 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 and one moment he like breaks one of the fingers of the Juggernaut, like, "You commie bastard!" And then like he stucks a power cord through the between the butt cheeks of the Juggernaut, and thanks to Yukio Negasonic, he pushes him into like the pool nearby and causes him to get electrocuted. Of course, he doesn't kill him, but definitely takes him out of the fight for a while. Then Domino rescues the orphans inside the facility in an awesome fight scene where like her lug powers is really put into full effect and causes these guys to accidentally kill themselves. And Deadpool and Cable tries to stop Russell. Deadpool tries to talk him down, but Russell at first really isn't listening. And Cable tries to take a shot, like time's up, and he takes a shot, and Deadpool with the inhibitor collar on to prove that he's like, you know, gonna talk him down without his powers, showing that like, you know, you can try to kill me if you want to take your first kill, make it me, kind of situation. And Deadpool jumps in front of the bullet meant for Russell. You know, now he's lying there dying. You know, he could take off the collar, but he doesn't want to do it because it's the only way he actually can prove to Russell and get back with his girlfriend. And this, of course, changes Russell's outlook, where he's like, he found like a true friend that actually had, and a hero that actually, you know, went all out for him. And I'm gonna point out the elephant in the room, how, yeah, this is part of the biggest con I have in the film, where it's like you're trying to have your Logan moment, but you're dragging it out, and I can see how that was the point, but it's funny, but only to a certain extent. And like, you could have probably shortened it back like a minute or two down, and it'll still service the funny and still drive home the sad point. Of course, you know, Deadpool's not gonna die, so, you know, but Vanessa points out to him in the afterlife, hey, your real family needs you. And this is around the time when Cable, you know, realizing what Deadpool did for his family, uses his last charge to go back a few moments ago before they tangle with the Juggernaut and so forth, because he has Deadpool, after his first run-in with Deadpool, he took one of this game tokens that's made of solid lead that Vanessa gave him as an anniversary present, as to mark the first date they had was at an arcade. And he slips it in Deadpool's suit right where the bullet will end up landing. So everything plays out like it plays out. And when he takes the shot, it still shows that Deadpool will make the sacrifice, but the bullet is stopped by the metal thing. And Cable says, like, I'll stick around just to make sure you don't F up, you know, the future. And the movie ends, you see like the post credits where Deadpool, after Negasonic and Yukio fix Cable's little time machine thing, and Deadpool borrows it to go back in time and save his girlfriend, which, like many people will believe, or actually understandably, realize, yeah, that kind of undermines the whole purpose of the entire adventure altogether. That you did all this for Vanessa just to be with her, but you kind of changed time in a way to save her life. Then you stop Ryan Reynolds from going on to the Green Lantern project, which turned into a stinker. Then you killed that not that crappy version of Deadpool in Wolverine Origins. And then you tried to kill baby Hitler, but you knew it couldn't do it. But that's where it officially ends. I'm sweating right now because it's kind of hot. But yeah, Deadpool 2 was hilarious, and it still made bank. There was no way this movie was gonna fail, and darn sure Deadpool 3 is not going to fail, especially after the writer's strike and stuff. It's like once everything gets back up and running, and like the writers and actors getting paid, especially the writers are getting paid what they are just due, and getting paid fairly, Deadpool 3 will get back into production, and it'll probably make even more bank, because we want to know, like, how does it fare, especially after the whole situation with the writer's strike that put it on pause for a minute. So yeah, and Deadpool 1 like grossing the billions for several weeks. And nearly outgrossed Passion of the Christ. This is the only movie that actually came close to doing so. But yeah, I love these Deadpool movies. I think I like the music in Deadpool 1 a lot more than I did in this one. There's only a couple of songs I actually really dug. But the soundtrack altogether is really dope. I love the costume, but I think they'll be closer to, the Deadpool costume will be a little bit more, a smidge bit more accurate in Deadpool 3, given the foes that we saw. It's like, oh wow, that's like more the red and everything, like the whole aesthetic seems like little by little to get more accurate. And just to see, like, instead of just a glorified cameo, we actually get to see Ryan Reynolds and Hugh Jackman Wolverine in the movie together. There's one image where it's like, Wolverine cut off one of Deadpool's arms and he's gutting him with the other claw. It's like, oh my god, the fight's gonna be fierce. And it's pretty much like Deadpool kills the Marvel Universe, but it's the Fox Universe. And nobody's really confirmed or not, but it's just hinted that, Jessica Garner Elektra will show back up, and some people from the Fantastic Four will show up. Like I said, it's not confirmed, but it's just like, that's what people are leaning. So we'll see. But anyway, let me know what you guys think of Deadpool 2. Does it still hold up for you? What stuff that worked or didn't work for you this go around? And yeah, the next movie will be X-Men First Class. I haven't seen that in a long while. But yeah, I will see you guys a little bit later for some multiplayer stuff, some COD and Overwatch 2. So hopefully I'll see you guys then. Have a good night.